I feel like I labeled myself as the quote ugly friend. I was really shy. I'm not a Kylie Jenner type girl. It's crazy. I seriously was just so mean to myself. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video of if Alisha was to have a solo podcast, what would it be called? You know, I still don't know. It's still a working title. If you haven't seen though, I've uploaded a few different videos similar to this format where I just kind of sit and talk. We have deep talks, we're comfy, and we contemplate the universe. We solve all of our deeper inner childhood trauma. I'm gonna have a new playlist. I'll link it down below if you haven't seen the other two, but I'm excited to talk about like deeper things or deeper topics. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you want more videos like this. Maybe comment below some other topics you want me to cover. I was gonna say grab popcorn. I think you should grab your journal. I feel like this is a grab your journal type episode. Side note, this is completely not sponsored, but I bought this because of TikTok and I did it this morning, but it's the shadow work journal. If you want to sob your eyes out, if you want to heal some childhood trauma, you need this. I will link her down below. So if you're brave enough to be read to filth, this is for you. Or just grab a normal notebook. Okay, I'm rambling. So let's get into it. I was really inspired to do this video. I know that the title is, you know, feeling like the ugly friend, and I feel like that's kind of a very bold title, but it's something I know a lot of people can relate to, and honestly, I actually relate to it fully. I was really inspired to do this video because I was watching this YouTuber. I'm obsessed with her. Go subscribe if you haven't. Her name is Jasmine Lee. I love her video. I love her vlogs. Like, they're so good. And she recently uploaded a video about growing up, quote, ugly, and just not fitting, you know, the standards of beauty and how trends come and go, and foxy cat eyes are super trendy all of a sudden, and then that goes away, and the effect that that's had on her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can really relate. So I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk about how I feel like I labeled myself as the quote ugly friend. Also, I feel like I can't really dive into this video the way that I would love to if I don't do a huge disclaimer right now. Obviously, no one is ugly. Everyone is beautiful. There truly is not one standard to beauty. I feel like even the word ugly is such a bold word that I don't want to use. However, that is what I internalized and thought about myself. So that's why we're using it. But it also would be naive of me to sit here and say that your insecurities aren't real, because I know what it's like to grow up with insecurities and feel ugly. I feel like this whole video, I just want to talk to my younger self, being like, oh my God, all of these thoughts you're having are such lies. It is insane to me how one thing someone says to you when you're in 6th grade can last with you your entire life. And all of a sudden you're looking back and you're like, why do I think this way about myself? This was a self-proclaimed title that I didn't realize I gave myself. And I think it all started because I remember one of my friends in middle school. She was just so pretty, so cute, peppy and friendly, and all of the guys liked her. Like, every single guy was obsessed with her. And I just got so used to being her friend where the guys would come to and be like, hey, I'm really into her. Like, do you think she likes me? Blah, 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 blah. It was nothing about her, but after years of this happening, it started making me question a lot of things about myself. I'm like, why does no one ask about me? Like, no one's asking her about me. Or like, everyone always says she's so cute and small and petite, and guys like her, they must not like me because I'm way taller. Anything she was and I wasn't, I took that as negative about myself. And it just got to this point where I was like putting myself down. Our minds are so powerful, because I think for years I was feeding myself those lies without realizing those were lies, because I just thought they were facts. I was like, oh, I'm just not that. And I have to accept that. Like, oh, I'm just not the type of girl that like guys have crushes on. You know what I mean? I didn't realize the amount of like negative self-talk I had about myself when it came to my other friends being popular or pretty or whatever. And I internalized that as, oh, well, then you're less than, which is so not true. But obviously that's something that like really stuck with me. One of my bigger insecurities that I've had my entire life is my height. And it's so funny because so many people now are like, you're not even that tall. I don't get it. But I was always the tallest in my class growing up. And all of my friends were like super short and petite, which I still think it's so funny that Remy's like 5'3" and she's my best friend now, but like every tall best friend needs a short best friend. I just felt so much bigger whether it was like my height or because my boobs finally came in or whatever. And again, obviously when like boys haven't even had their fucking growth spurt yet, I'm like towering over like half the guys in my class. That only fed my insecurity of no one likes me because I'm XYZ tall, blah, 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 whatever, which like none of that's true. Obviously this is just like early adolescence and this happens and it's part of growing up. Honestly, if you're a 90s baby or you grew up in the 2000s, like how the hell did we do it? Like genuinely every model only looked a certain way. No wonder we all tore ourselves apart. Oh my God, even America's Next Top Model, like that was my favorite show. I loved it so much. Obviously, this is a whole other topic than being the ugly friend, but I think the world we grew up in at that time in society just didn't help me feeling ugly compared to my friends. I distinctly remember being in kindergarten, and I'm just sitting minding my own business, and this kid next to me, his name was Anthony. F you, Anthony. He looks at my legs, like my thighs that were pressed against the chair because I'm sitting like a normal human, and he goes, "Why are your thighs so big?" That's literally stuck with me my entire life, and literally my thighs have always been one of my bigger insecurities, and I'm just like, it's crazy how that one comment clearly affected me, and it clearly made me think, oh, they shouldn't look this way, or it's a negative thing. Anthony. Again, I just developed faster than like most of my friends, and I had thighs before most people even had their period. And now I'm so glad, because I feel like now we know that beauty comes in so many different shapes and sizes. Needless to say, all of this just made me internalize what's wrong with me when other people had things. And obviously that's so not true. And if I was to have like my child right now, I would want to tell him or her, like, just because someone has something or a personality trait or a physical trait that you don't, doesn't mean yours is less beautiful or less pretty. It doesn't need to be a competition. You don't need to compare anything about that. Anyway, now let's get into male validation, because I also remember the first time guys were talking about my thighs in a very like, ooh, hot way. But I was like, how can you think that because they're ugly? Because I've always thought that. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Now you're seeing it as an attractive thing. Interesting. So that's just a little too. Now, fast forward a few years, I get in a relationship. And it's funny because at the time I thought that I became more confident and I didn't have these insecurities anymore. But I feel like they were just being masked for a time because I was getting validation from a guy that I'd like wanted for the longest time. And of course, I'm being told by him that I'm pretty, you know, he's taller than me, so my height's no longer an insecurity of mine, like, you know, etc., whatever. Then we break up. And after we broke up, those insecurities came back, honestly, even stronger. And honestly, I think a lot of people in relationships do this. And that's why a lot of people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, because I think when you're single for a long time, it kind of forces you to really like look into yourself and look at those insecurities versus just having it masked by someone else or validation. And, or maybe it's not even relationships, maybe it's also your work or whatever. But I do think it's important to like be single for a little bit and really like dig into yourself and be like, hey, what are my insecurities? Why do I think this? Cue my shadow work journal, which is now making me realize all the that I have up about me because of my childhood. Speaking of validation from work, this is around the time, I'm in my early 20s now, where my YouTube channel and YouTube career really started taking off. And even though I still didn't feel pretty, I think I really let myself sit in that I'm just a quirky, relatable girl. And that gives me enough validation, these millions of views that I'm getting, so I don't have to focus on things I don't like about myself. Obviously, that only lasted so long until I had a burnout moment and totally just like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And obviously, when you're getting millions of views, you're also getting millions of comments, and probably half of them are usually about your appearance. And I just quickly came to this conclusion where I was like, you know what? People don't want to be me. I'm not one of those hot Insta baddies. I'm not a Kylie Jenner type girl. People just want to be my friend. And I'm just the quirky friend. Like, that's just it. Around this time, like, I distinctly remember putting myself in a box, telling myself, like, bluntly in my head, like, oh, you're just not pretty like other people, and you're just the quirky girl. But you know what? Who cares? You have a career off of it. This is kind of tea. I literally had a video that I filmed back in like 2018 where I'm opening up and being vulnerable. I basically wanted to film this video then. I just didn't know how to do it then. I don't even think I was capable of being that vulnerable, but I never uploaded this video, but I filmed a whole video talking about how I don't feel pretty.
I'm going to talk to you guys today about why I actually don't feel pretty.
While I was taking off my makeup, because I was like, maybe this will like make me feel pretty if I just like address the elephant in the room. I have that footage somewhere and I need to find it. We'll put it in if I find it. But because my YouTube was doing well and I was getting validation from that, I think it was easy to just kind of ignore the rest. Then with YouTube came brand deals and came money, and I was like, wait, I can actually afford a nose job, because I remember my hot friend, but it was the same friend. Oh my god, what the her mom was like, she had a nose job, and I remember telling her I wanted one. Again, keep in mind, I was literally in like 9th grade when I told this mom I want a nose job because I don't like my nose. And she told me, she was like, you know what, if you want to do it for you. But by her saying do it if you want, I interpreted that as, oh, so I do need it. Oh, so you agree my nose is bad. Even if there's like a photo of me from like my profile and I like my nose like looked really big or something, and I called it out to my friends like, oh my god, my nose looks so bad, and them just laughing versus versus saying, no, it doesn't. It's like, I interpreted that. Like I heard all of that. And that's something about me that I'm trying to work on. Literally, it reminds me of Mean Girls when she's like, so you agree? You think you're really pretty? Like that was my mind to myself being like, oh, well, they laughed and they didn't say your nose doesn't look like that normally. So it must always look like that. I seriously was just so mean to myself. 2018, I turned 25 and I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of being that funny, like ugly friend. I want to be hot. That's the one thing I want to be in this world. And I just want to be pretty and I want to feel pretty. And I'm going to do everything I can in my power to do that. If you followed me then, you definitely noticed my Instagram change overnight from like quirky Alisha Marie back to school saturation to like I'm an IG baddie. I wanted that validation of feeling desirable, that like guys would like me, that I was hot. I just wanted that validation so bad. I feel like I had this master checklist of all these things that in order to be hot, I must be. I have to like whiten my teeth. I need to make sure I'm tan. I need to lose some weight. I need to wear this, more revealing, blah, blah, blah. Like this whole master list. First of all, exhausting. Second of all, expensive, dude. Like I tried so hard to look good then. I look so much better now with trying less. Lo and behold, came the last box and I checked that box. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to feel something. I'm going to feel extraordinary. I'm going to have all these guys flooding in my DMs. And I still felt insecure. After all of those boxes were checked, I still felt the same way that I felt in middle school and high school. And I was like, okay, Alisha, you got to like dig deeper. Around this time, I finally got into therapy. Having my therapist ask me what are 3 things you love about myself and I couldn't say anything, like that was the first time I realized like my love for myself is so low and it's been this way a long time. And even though I have cool achievements or like my YouTube is like, you know, taking off and I feel like I've done cool things or like I have a cool house or like material things or whatever, like if you cannot love yourself, then no one can love you. And I know it's so cliche, but that's why it's cliche in the first place. You have to fully love yourself before anyone can love you. And I think that is what I would tell my middle school self, Alisha. It was never looks. It was never my personality. It was me not loving myself made me not have confidence. It made me think that other people were more attractive or desired than me. I truly feel that you are like the most magnetic person and personality, and people will gravitate and like you when you actually love yourself. Whether that's a friendship relationship, a romantic relationship, like people are just attracted to that magnet. All of that comes from you loving yourself. And this is still something I'm learning today. Like it's not like, oh my God, I finally learned this and now I'm good. I still struggle with this, as we all do, but it definitely gets easier and easier. I even saw an interview where Margot Robbie said she doesn't feel sexy. She's like, I've played characters where they feel sexy, and because of that, I feel sexy in return a little bit, but I myself don't feel sexy. And I'm like, what the f***, you're Margot Robbie? Like, what? Some of the prettiest people like don't feel that way about themselves. Like physically attractive people are the most insecure. And it's crazy because physically, like they have like the veneers, they have their boob jobs, they have like everything is like perfectly tailored, but they're still so insecure. And I'm like, how? Like you're stunning. You fit the standard. You're beautiful. I don't get it. But like it just shows how even plastic surgery can't mask your insecurities. And that brings me to my thoughts on plastic surgery, because I feel like I also have to say, not even just plastic surgery, but getting work done. When I told my mom I finally wanted a nose job, I was so scared to tell her. And I thought she was going to be like, oh my God, no, you can't, you're beautiful. But she did say you're beautiful. And I was like, Mom, I know I'm beautiful, but I still want it done. And I am so grateful. She told me, she was like, I know that our faces continue developing until you're like 25. At least wait until that. And that stuck with me because I remember being like 21 or 22 and being like, okay, let me like wait a little bit more. And I'm so glad I waited and didn't do it just out of insecurity wanting to change it, and taking time and researching and having consultations and really doing the work and the research behind it. And spoiler, I never got one. Will I never get one? I don't know. I at least know I'll do it out of the right mental state versus just doing it for a guy or for attention or validation or because someone made a comment, and doing it more for yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with like doing cosmetic stuff. You know, obviously we like shapeshift our face all the time with makeup or dye our hair or whatever, but I think when it stems from a place of insecurity, it only masks it, just like being in a relationship or diving into your career. And in the end, unless you're like really working on yourself, it's not going to get better. And lastly, if I could go back to Alisha going into her new school in 6th grade, before she started really caring about what people think or searching for validation or guys or whatever, I think I would just want to tell her, like, you are everything and more already. It's just in you, and you have to allow yourself to show that side. Like, be vulnerable, like be yourself, let your crazy humor show. And if no one laughs, that is literally fine. Like, that's on them. And like, you're still, I don't know, like you're just like enough as you are. Like, that's so deep and cliche, but beauty and confidence and all of that is not physical. Like, it truly is when you let your own personality shine. You have a personality for a reason. Like, let that shine through. Yeah, you don't need to hide yourself, because I think for years I really hid myself just to kind of fit in. And I know that's, again, so cliche. Don't compare yourself, because just because your friend is beautiful and funny and guys like her doesn't mean anything is wrong with you or that you're less than. Not everything's a competition, bitch. That's what I'd say. Anyway, I rambled like crazy. Honestly, I'm just hoping maybe someone related to this or just needed to hear this. I don't know who you are, but if it was you, please comment below. And I want you to comment something you love about yourself, okay? Go into detail. I will read every single comment. Anyways, I will see you guys really soon with a new video, and comment below any other topics you want me to do for the next If Alisha Had a Solo Podcast. Bye, bitch.